There is a noise that follows most people wherever they go, not the noise of traffic or conversation or machinery, though those are present too. This is a different kind of noise. It lives inside the mind, a constant stream of thoughts, worries, plans, judgments, memories. It never stops. Even in the quietest room, even in the middle of the night, it continues. And most people have lived with it for so long that they no longer notice it. They think this is simply what it means to be awake, to be thinking, to be alive. But there is something else available, something that exists on the other side of all that noise. And the only way to find it is through silence. Welcome to the Quiet Path. This is a space where we step away from the constant motion of the world, where we sit with what is difficult, where we remember that strength does not always announce itself. Here, we do not seek to fill every moment with sound or activity. We do not chase after distraction. We simply allow ourselves to be still, to listen, to notice what emerges when we stop running. And today, we are looking at something that most people avoid, something that makes them uncomfortable, something that has more power than almost anything else to change the way you experience your own mind. We are looking at silence. You know the feeling. You are alone in a room and suddenly you reach for your phone, or you turn on music, or you call someone. Not because you need to, not because there is something urgent, but because the silence was becoming too heavy, too uncomfortable. There was something about it that made you restless, made you want to fill the space. And so you did, without thinking, without choosing. It was automatic, a reflex. And if you watch yourself closely, you will see that you do this many times a day. Every time there is a gap, every time there is a pause, you fill it, because somewhere along the way you learned that silence is something to be avoided, that it is empty, uncomfortable, even threatening. But what if you have it backwards? What if silence is not empty, but full? What if the discomfort you feel is not because there is nothing there, but because there is too much? What if your mind, which has been running constantly for as long as you can remember, finally has a chance to settle? And what if, in that settling, things begin to rise to the surface, things you have been avoiding, things you have been covering up with noise? And what if that is exactly what needs to happen? In the old traditions, silence was not seen as a luxury, it was seen as essential. The monks who practiced it understood something that we have forgotten. They understood that the mind is like water. When it is constantly stirred, constantly agitated, you cannot see through it. Everything is murky, confused. But when it is allowed to be still, when nothing is disturbing it, it becomes clear. And in that clarity, you can see things as they actually are, not as your thoughts tell you they are. Not as your fears paint them, but as they are, and this changes everything. Most people believe that thinking more will solve their problems, that if they can just analyze enough, plan enough, worry enough, they will figure it out. And so they think constantly. They turn things over in their minds. They replay conversations. They imagine scenarios. They try to control the future by thinking about it. But this does not work. It only makes things worse. Because the thinking itself becomes the problem. It becomes a loop, a habit that feeds on itself. And the more you think, the more tangled you become, the more confused, the more anxious. Not because the problems are getting worse, but because you are drowning in your own mental noise. Silence breaks this loop, not by solving anything, not by giving you answers, but by letting you step out of the noise long enough to realize that most of it was not necessary. Most of it was not even real. It was just your mind doing what it has been trained to do, generating thoughts, creating stories, trying to protect you from dangers that do not exist. And when you sit in silence, when you stop feeding this process, something happens. The thoughts begin to slow, the urgency begins to fade, and you start to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who is aware of them. And that awareness, that space between you and your thinking, is where your freedom lives. This is not easy at first. When you sit in silence, the mind does not simply become quiet. It does the opposite, it gets louder. It throws up every thought it can find, every worry, every distraction, every reason why you should not be sitting here doing nothing. And this is where most people give up. They think they are doing it wrong. They think silence is supposed to feel peaceful immediately, but it does not. Not at first. At first it feels like chaos, like you have opened a door that should have stayed closed. But this is not failure. This is the process. The mind is showing you everything it has been holding, everything it has been managing while you kept yourself busy. And it is only by staying with this, by not running from it, that it begins to settle. There is a practice in Japan called forest bathing. You walk slowly through the forest, not to get anywhere, but simply to be present with the trees, the air, the quiet. And at first, your mind is still full of the day, full of plans and worries and noise. But as you walk, as you allow yourself to be there without agenda, something shifts. The forest begins to quiet you, not because it is doing anything to you, but because you are finally allowing yourself to receive what has always been there. The stillness, the peace, the sense that you do not need to be anywhere else or do anything else. You can simply be. And this is what silence does. It allows you to remember what it feels like to exist without the constant pressure of your own thinking. Most people fill their lives with sound because they are afraid of what they will find in the silence. They are afraid they will be bored or lonely, or that they will have to face something they have been avoiding. And these fears are not wrong. Silence does bring you face to face with yourself. It does show you what you have been running from, but it also shows you that you are capable of being with it, that you do not need to run, that the boredom, the loneliness, the discomfort, these are not enemies, they are just experiences. And when you stop resisting them, when you stop trying to escape them, they lose their power. They become just another part of the landscape of your mind, something that arises and passes, nothing more. When you practice silence, you are not trying to stop thinking. That is impossible. The mind thinks. That is what it does. But you are training yourself to not be controlled by the thinking, to not believe every thought that arises, to not follow every worry down its rabbit hole. You are learning to observe, to notice, to let thoughts come and go without grabbing onto them. And this skill, this ability to be with your own mind without being overwhelmed by it, this is one of the most valuable things you can develop. Because it does not just help you in silence, it helps you in everything. In conversation, in conflict, in decision-making, in moments of stress. Because you have learned how to not be swept away, how to stay grounded even when the mind is loud. There is a difference between silence and avoidance. Avoidance is when you distract yourself from what you are feeling, when you numb yourself, when you pretend things are not as they are. Silence is the opposite. It is turning toward what is there. It is being willing to feel what you have been running from. And this requires courage, because what you find in silence is not always comfortable. Sometimes it is grief. Sometimes it is anger. Sometimes it is a deep sadness that you did not even know you were carrying. But these things do not go away by ignoring them. They only grow heavier. And silence gives them a place to be acknowledged, to be felt, to finally be released. You do not need hours of silence. You do not need to go on a retreat or sit in meditation for years. You can begin with minutes, with moments. You can sit in your car before going into work and simply be quiet. You can turn off the radio on your drive. You can eat a meal without looking at your phone. You can take a walk without headphones. These are not grand gestures, but they are powerful. Because they are teaching you that you do not need to fill every moment, that you can be with yourself. That silence is not something to fear, but something to return to, again and again. The mind resists this. It will tell you that you do not have time, that there are more important things to do, that this is indulgent or pointless. And you will believe it, at least at first, because the mind is very good at protecting its patterns. It does not want to change. It wants to keep doing what it has always done. But if you persist, if you keep choosing silence even when it feels uncomfortable, you will begin to notice something. The quality of your days begins to shift. You are less reactive, less caught up in your own stories, less overwhelmed by the noise of the world. Not because the world has changed, but because you have created a space inside yourself that the world cannot fill or disturb. A place of stillness that you can return to no matter what is happening around you. In the old teachings, there is an understanding that the mind must be trained just like the body. You do not expect to run a marathon without preparation. You do not expect to lift heavy weight without building strength. But somehow, we expect the mind to be able to handle anything without training. We expect it to be calm under pressure, clear in confusion, steady in crisis. but we never teach it how. We never give it the practice it needs, and so it stays reactive, scattered, overwhelmed, and we wonder why we feel so tired, why we cannot focus, why peace seems so far away. But the answer is simple. We have not trained the mind, and silence is how we train it. When you sit in silence, you are practicing being present. You are practicing letting go of what your mind wants to grab onto. You are practicing returning to this moment, right here, right now, without needing it to be different. And this is the foundation of everything, of patience, of acceptance, of resilience, of peace. Because if you can be present with silence, you can be present with anything. You can be with difficulty without being destroyed by it. You can be with uncertainty without needing to control it. You can be with your own mind without being afraid of it. Think about how much of your life is spent trying to escape the present moment, trying to be somewhere else, trying to feel something other than what you are feeling, planning the future, replaying the past, distracting yourself with entertainment, numbing yourself with whatever is available. And all of this is driven by one thing: the inability to be here, right now, as you are, with whatever is present. And silence teaches you this, not through words, not through concepts, but through direct experience, through sitting with what is uncomfortable until it is no longer unbearable, through discovering that you can survive your own mind, that you can be with yourself, that you are, in fact, okay. The world will not encourage this. The world profits from your distraction, from your restlessness, from your belief that you need something outside yourself to be complete, and so it will offer you endless noise, endless entertainment, endless things to fill the silence with, and you will take them, because it is easier, because everyone else is doing it, because silence feels strange in a world that never stops talking. But just because something is normal does not mean it is healthy. Just because everyone is distracted does not mean you have to be. You can choose differently. You can choose silence, not as an escape, not as a rejection of the world, but as a way of staying sane in the middle of it, as a way of remembering who you are beneath all the noise. There is a quality of attention that can only be developed in silence. It is a kind of listening that goes deeper than words, a kind of awareness that notices what is usually missed. When your mind is full of noise, full of thinking and planning and worrying, you cannot access this. You are too busy, too distracted, too caught up in your own mental activity. But when you practice silence, when you train yourself to be still, this deeper attention begins to awaken. You start to notice things, the way light moves across a room, the expression on someone's face that reveals more than their words, the feeling in your body that tells you something is wrong before your mind can articulate it. This is not magic. It is just what becomes available when you stop drowning in your own thoughts. And this attention changes how you move through the world. You become more sensitive, more aware, more present, not in a way that makes you fragile, but in a way that makes you more capable, because you are no longer operating on autopilot. You are no longer just reacting. You are noticing, choosing, responding from a place of clarity rather than habit. And this is what the old masters meant when they spoke about wisdom. They were not talking about knowledge. They were talking about this quality of clear seeing that emerges from a quiet mind, this ability to perceive what is actually happening instead of what you think is happening. And this cannot be learned from books. It can only be learned from practice, from silence. When you begin to practice silence, you will notice how loud your life has been, how much noise you have been tolerating, how many inputs you have been allowing into your mind without questioning them, and you will start to make different choices. You will turn off the news more often. You will spend less time scrolling. You will say no to conversations that drain you, not because you are withdrawing from life, but because you are protecting something valuable. You are protecting your inner stillness, your clarity, your peace. And you are realizing that these things are not guaranteed. They must be cultivated. They must be defended, and silence is how you do that. There will be people who do not understand this, who think you are being antisocial or strange, who wonder why you do not want to fill every moment with activity or conversation. And you do not need to explain yourself to them. You do not need to justify your need for silence. It is enough that you know its value. It is enough that you feel the difference it makes in your own life. Let other people live as they choose. You are choosing something else, something quieter, something deeper. And that is your right. The practice of silence is not about becoming someone different. It is about becoming more yourself, more settled in your own being, less dependent on external stimulation to feel okay, less controlled by the endless chatter of your mind. And as you practice, as you return to silence again and again, you begin to carry it with you. It is no longer something you have to seek out in special moments. It becomes a quality of your presence, a steadiness that others can feel even if they cannot name it. And this steadiness, this inner quiet, becomes your greatest strength, not because it makes you powerful in the eyes of the world, but because it makes you unshakable in yourself. So begin where you are, with what you have. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need a meditation cushion, or a quiet house, or an hour of free time. You just need a willingness to stop, to sit, to be with yourself in silence, even for a few minutes, even when it feels uncomfortable. And then do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, not because you are trying to achieve something, not because you are trying to become enlightened or perfect, but because you are training your mind. You are teaching it that it does not need to run constantly, that it can rest, that you are safe in silence. And over time, this training changes everything. If you found something here that resonated with you, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to The Quiet Path. Not out of obligation, but because this space exists for those who are ready to hear these reflections, and perhaps what helped you might help another person who needs it. This is not about building something large or chasing numbers. This is simply about offering a place where stillness is honored, where quiet strength is remembered, where those who are weary of noise can find a moment of peace. Walk slowly, see clearly. I'll see you again on The Quiet Path.